And hello, welcome to the Volve Bounce. How are you, Steve?
G'day, mates. Yeah, I'm not too bad. In yourself?
Good, thank you. How are you feeling?
That's
Rested?
good.
After your little
Definitely
holiday?
not.
Oh, sorry.
No. Oh, what's that?
That is me, sorry. I was testing to make sure we are live and
Um,
I wasn't muted, and clearly that's not the
yeah.
case.
Another demo blooper to go in the closet. Excellent. Good
Stock,
stuff.
standard
Um,
blooper.
yeah, look, I am rested, but not completely rested. As you're well aware, I had a little incident before we went away, and that meant that this shoulder was not particularly flexible. So
Ah, wannabe
it
race
was pretty
car incident,
uncomfortable.
eh? Wannabe race car incident.
Oh, more like Bucks Party go karting gone crazy leading the race and got taken out by some back markers. Don't you
Oh,
love it?
nothing better than that when the backmarkers think it's their choice to crash in front of you, hey?
it's a magic thing. Four of them, just unavoidable. So anyway, I basically cracked. Well, I haven't cracked a rib, but it definitely went out of place, and the shoulder's not great, but the bruise is easing now, and I've got a bit more movement, so we're good.
That's good to hear. On the mend. Love it.
That's it. But
Beautiful.
a few things happened while I was away, mate. Like, not let's just touch on last week's on your own episode, which was
Oof.
Triple Eight switching over to Ford. That's a big one.
It is. It is. And I thought that since you had such a reaction that I had to kind of soften it a little bit and just be, I'm definitely still not a Triple Eight fan, but I had to soften it a little bit knowing what was coming from you. And anything else you want to add to your tirade of last week?
Look, I'm just not sure, whether you're actually a Triple Eight fan in the closet, mate. I mean, it was a bit. I don't know. I mean, I know about softening it, but
Yeah,
you were a little too kind there, Damo.
too kind. Just trying to play both sides. I think, but yeah, it was a huge shock, and as we said, I think we might be changing or adjusting our following just based on a few of that. So we'll see how that
um,
goes, though.
Look, I guess at the end of the day, still a Ford boy, but yeah, I don't think I'll be running out to buy any merchandise for that team. Let's just say that.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, yeah. Look, I guess we'll touch on the General Motors topic. I know you've had some time to kind of think through that as the week has gone past, but it's
Mm,
a little bit like livery Christmas at the moment. We have
it
had
is.
everything dropping, well, not everything. We've still got a few teams to go.
We do.
But yeah, on the whole, we've had a whole bunch, and even some tonight that we'll manage to scrape in as well. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
what's been. Let's kick it off with let's start with WAU, and
Okay.
I'll do a little change. I'll show people the screen, and we'll have a look at the truck assist car. Well,
Yeah. All right. So we're going to start with Woody's car first.
yeah, your good friend Woody.
I love Woody. He's such a good kid. I actually predict he'll have a really good year this year, just quietly. Um, but having said that, that car is probably the best at the moment that I've seen. I know
Yeah.
it's not a drastic change out of last year,
Yep.
but the amount of orange that they've brought upon it and just cleaned up a few lines here and there, I think has actually really smartened up both cars.
Yep.
But for some reason, that truck assist car just looks so good.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, something about it. I mean, we'll wait and see it on the track, but in photos, particularly, it just looks so good.
Yeah, I think you're right. They just seem to have polished a little bit of the lines. They've cleaned up a few things, and it just seems to have, like, looking at last year's versus this year, there isn't a lot of difference. They really have tried to keep the same theme, etc. But it just looks so much better, and especially like you've got the long black bonnet, and just the way they've wrapped the orange around the side. I think it's really they've really done a really good job on Woody's car.
100%, mate. Couldn't agree more.
Yes. All right. Now, his teammate,
The Chev.
the Chaz, very, very similar situation where they haven't really done too much, but they have cleaned it up a little bit. Give us your thoughts. What do you think?
Much like Woody's car, I think it looks really good. As I said, I think the orange particularly stands out. So the teal's good, but the orange is better. But it's a close second. I like Chazzy's car. I liked Chazzy's car last year in the white, and I liked it when it went black. As you said, not much of a change. So I think as long as he's winning, mate, I'll be happy.
That's all that you're really after, eh?
Pretty much.
And me too, given it's the last year in the Mustang. So let's hope he can have a good year, as we've discussed. I'm sure. We're just fingers crossed, toes crossed, legs crossed, anything you can, cross it for us.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Now, next one, which we haven't got too many photos, but I guess I should say also, I'm just using the Supercars website. You can go view them all on there. But the R&J batteries, a bit of a milestone for them, as well as pretty much a bit of copy and paste, not too much difference from last year.
Yeah, it's like the balding man, isn't it? So a little bit more white, a little less black.
Yeah.
But I actually reckon it just cleans up the front end particularly. It's less clustered for some reason. I haven't gone back and had a look at last year's car too much just yet to see the differences, but I definitely think it's a cleaner looking design. And congratulations to RJ Batteries, 30 years in business. That's a pretty solid innings.
It is. Yeah, nice looking car, and it's good for R&J Batteries. I think they've had a nice run in Supercars as well. So it's great that they've had the support at BJR. All right, Pizza Hut.
Do you mean McDonald's?
Well, it says Pizza Hut, but I definitely feel McDonald's looking at it. And
I love this. I actually heard AVL. It was either yesterday or something. I love a yellow race car, and this just looks the business and this and that. And I'm just looking at it going, AVL, mate, it's the wrong brand. I don't expect to see the Pizza Hut sign on a yellow and red car. I expect the McDonald's sign.
No.
So it's a bit confusing for me. I don't think the actual livery itself is fine. I don't have anything to say good or bad. Other than I think it's confused.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the same. I guess it goes back to the real original roots, and you've got Norm Beachy, and you've got some really strong yellow cars in our history and other histories across the world. But I was a bit confused that the Pizza Hut on the yellow car, and look, it'll definitely stand out. So when it goes on the track, I'm sure we'll notice the yellow car because it'll be very different. It's a different kind of yellow to some of the others that are on the grid. So.
It is.
Kudos for trying something as always, but
and also the confirmation of Macaulay actually driving this.
Oh, the unspoken of Willie Warranty and people starting rumors, etc. But he's still locked in there, and we'll see how that goes this year. Hey,
yes, we will.
The next one, which has just dropped tonight, which is Daffy Reynolds, Mr. David Reynolds in his tradie car. And I must admit, we didn't talk about it before, and I'm just like, sputter gun, it looks like paintball effect. They've just got so many colours going on. I'm not sure, given that it was my favourite car last year, I'm a bit disappointed.
You're disappointed? I still think it looks good. I quite like it. I think yellow is pretty strong. But from the front particularly, it looks quite menacing.
Yep.
I do agree. I think I prefer last year's livery. I wrote that really quickly on the Facebook page and on Instagram. If you guys are following along, please jump on board that because we'd like your interaction there. I think it looks good, but I believe last year's car was better. There's something about last year's car that just looked really nice.
I think last year it was just so clean and simple, and I think I've never. I know it's hard with sponsors, but I'm never a fan of when you've just got so many conflicting colours and you just try and put them all in. It's a hard thing, it's not an easy thing to actually create a thing. It's good that they've got lots of strong sponsors, etc. That's always good. But yeah, it's yeah, the big red Toyota forklifts, which obviously pay the majority of the bills, I think. Being Charlie's business, but yeah, that's a lot of red on yellow and silver, and yeah, maybe not for me.
It is definitely a lot of red, yellow, and silver, but yeah, it kind of almost gives me a bit of I don't know, Ingle back in the day.
Yeah.
Like the early 2000s Commodore, the VX, that when he was running at Perkins.
Yep.
Not exactly, obviously, probably just the silver that's reminding me of that primarily. But yeah, no, I don't think it's bad. It's just busy. It's kind of, I suppose, it's kind of like the old 888 cars when they were with Ford and the better electrical.
Yeah.
It was never a great livery. It was just busy.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Busy. Yes. And
just busy. Busy's the word.
I guess I was scrolling through the photos here, and of course, thank you, Supercars. Good work, because the very last photo is the team together. So we're going to talk about Anton's car right now, because that's already on screen.
Yes, DeWalt is. Look, I mean, it's similar to what Frosty was running. It's not drastically different. I think the car looks good. Main difference is really being that it's gloss rather than like a matte sort of coloring. So I think it looks pretty tough, and I like Anton. I hope he goes well, just not too well.
Yeah, I'm hoping. He needs a good year. I think just a nice solid year. So fingers crossed for him. I don't think it's as good as previous ones, but it's not that too dissimilar, and it's not too offensive. It's it's not too bad.
It's not too bad.
And it's good. They've got obviously DeWalt on board, which is that's great for the category and for Anton.
Absolutely.
Right. Erebus. Launching locally, I guess, if you could say, for us down in Keysborough at the YTG factory or garage, I should say, which is a place we've regularly gone for car meets and car shows.
Eddie was there.
Yes, yeah.
Shout out to
him. It was good. So the tyre power car. So I think Jack LeBrock's. I think they've tidied it up nicely. I like that it's a bit more solid on the blue, and it's looking pretty good. So I was quite happy with that one. I think they've done a good job this year.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I mean, I don't know how long these liveries are going to last. It sounds like both cars have got a bit of a rolling sort of sponsor deal going on.
Yep.
But yeah, I think the tyre power car looks clean and well presented. Definitely, and I guess we'll just have to see if Jack. I mean, this needs to be a step up for Jack. He needs to sort of find some pace and get regularly within the front.
Yep.
Because I don't know how many more years he can sort of trundle in that mid pack. So we'll see how he goes. And he's got a very fast rookie next to him.
Yeah, he does. And I guess just more solid start to this year than rather than last year, the way it kicked off. So hopefully, that could contribute to a better season for him. But yeah, the Chico roll, mate, it's back. What's your take? Because I'll give you my take at the end, even though it's obviously Camaro and it's it's Erebus and stuff. But what's your take?
My take is angry as beep. It looks menacing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That front end really particularly looks pissed off and ready to go. So
yeah.
I think it's a good looking car, as much as that pains me to say it.
Yep.
But no, I mean, both cars are presented really, really well. The Chico one is the pick, though, definitely.
Yeah, I think they've done a great job. The front just looks so tough, and they've obviously got the lens, the colours on the lenses of the headlights, and just seems to the way they've done the contours, it makes it look a lot like chunkier than some of the other Camaros, and I think they've done a really good job. That one,
strong cheekbone.
Yeah, that's it.
Like,
Hips and cheekbones.
Yes, it's good. It's good. I'm looking. It's good.
It's good. Yeah, a bit of a surprise. I was really surprised, and then the whole rolling, livery thing was a bit of a shame once I saw the Chico livery, because I thought, you could get used to that being pretty strong, and so maybe if they have some success, that might stay on, but who knows.
That's it. That's it.
All right, so these are ones that have dropped a little longer ago, and we're going to move to the Castrol car to Thomas
Mr.
Randall.
I'm interested in your take.
So initially, when they had I haven't got it here in this one, but when they had that front on view, which I think they have got at the top, I thought, that actually kind of looks nice and clean. And then when you saw some of the side photos, and I'm just going to scroll down in the thing here, and from the back, it does look a bit mismatched. Yeah, it does look like it's kind of fitting everything in that they can, even though there's actually not that many sponsors on there. It's a good Castrol livery, but nowhere near their best. You know, they've had some iconic ones over the years, and I thought I wasn't as impressed after the initial photos were released.
All right, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, so here's my take on it. It shits on last year's livery. Last year's livery was, sorry guys, an abortion.
Possibly the worst. Yep.
Only because I think they had that late Coke call up, and it just it just looked like a mismatch of stuff. So it's good to see a car that's cohesive in its design, like its actual livery, what it's supposed to be.
Cohesive, interesting. Okay.
Cohesive. It's not the strongest Castrol livery, but I think the problem is every time you see a Castrol livery, for me personally, you go straight back to Perkins days, and I know it's an old livery now, but it's so iconic that it's really, you'll always go, well, that was the best of it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But overall, I actually think it looks pretty good. If I put everything aside,
all right,
and not think of it from past, I actually think it looks pretty good, and I think it'll look pretty good on track.
Yeah, so, I think that's something that we'll touch on with the I said about the DJR stuff is that you have it on a white background, and you like the backgrounds, and then when you put it onto a track where you've got different colors, and it kind of will it might emphasize different parts of the car, so it might actually look better on the track versus the promo PR shots. So yeah, I just didn't like all those little flares of colors, the lines and stuff that kind of just sticking there. I just thought, I
know they're a little bit different, but they kind of remind me of the old Seaton days. A couple of little flick ups and things around the car occasionally. I'm not opposed to it. I will say this, and I think this goes across both cars, even though we haven't seen Cam's car yet.
Yep.
The BP Ultimate signage, because of the yellow that BP uses,
so strong.
It's so strong, and it clashes pretty much with everything. So that makes it hard too.
Yeah, it's because they've got it on the roof and the back. I knew it was on the back. I forgot it was on the roof as well, but it's a little bit on the side too, around the filler. But
it is.
Yeah, it's a totally different, and to Castrol, it's a different green, and so it's a interesting one, isn't it?
Yes. One thing I didn't realize, and I'm just re-looking at it again, is that Coke is gone.
Yeah,
from the car.
Yeah,
completely. So I didn't really pick that up at the start. So interesting. Don't know the reasoning behind that or what's going on, but I mean, it probably lends itself to cleaning up the car anyway. Just them nicking off.
Yeah.
So
yeah. There you go. Okay. All right. Be kind.
Be kind.
We're going to have a chat about Triple Eight. Now we've got welcome back Mark Nader again, who's been in the chat. Tell me, I'm not muted this time. Thank you. Still did a furf, but but he said as a Triple Eight fan, the Triple Eight liveries are bland. And look, I've been a fan of that. I think this is better. I like the white because it's less. You've kind of got splashes of red, splashes of white, splashes of blue, yellow. So I think this is, for me, a cleaner look. but they're always so constrained with how they can do it. It's there's not a lot of change ever.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree. There's not a lot of change ever, but I can tell you this, and I don't like the Ford version either. But the Ford one looks beeping better than the fucking Camaro. The Camaro looks. Uh, I, I've said it so many times about Red Bull and liveries and being bland for the last 15 years, and I got crucified when I went in on Shane's NASCAR online.
Jeez, people were not happy about that.
People were not happy about that, but honestly, they are. They're just. I mean, I get it. It's them. That's their brand and everything else. But would it kill them to just be a little bit more adventurous with the lighter blues and mix it in with the darker blue and just I don't know. There's just nothing going on. And I know you reckon the white looks better, but I tell you what, that white roof is.
It does your head in a bit.
Like, come on, mate. That is feral. Not even close to being good. Like, all right, having a white roof, but the A pillar? No. What are you doing?
I think, like, when you look at it, like, you've got the A pillar and then there's no continuity to the back of the car. And so that, I think that's where it's, I like, well, I'm always more about, less is more. And so the less colors, even if they're bad, I prefer it as a cleaner livery. But I think it's something to do with the blue and the matte, the way it works on the Camaro. I think it seems to hide a lot of the lines that the Camaro has, and so that really softens and dulls it. It does always look, I think, a little better in real life because you do get the shadows and things, not the press photos. But it is one of those things. And Sarah's joined in. She says the white kills it. Looks awful. So there you go.
Thank you.
With you, Steve, and not with me, which I'm not offended at all because it's still 888, and so it doesn't matter to me.
Hey, Damo, you're wrong.
Tell me something I don't know. Well, let's talk about white then, and carry over to DJR. On white background, PR shots. I'm not sure that was the smartest thing to do, but they did it anyway. And I think let's just start off with the first change, I think, since the first year Scotty Mack went there. Is that correct? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, 2017, wasn't it? So they changed it up and they went that all red front, like we got used to and accustomed to over the years. Look, I like it.
You like it?
Having going back to the white killing the Camaro, that's only because it's jarring against the blue just below it. At least with the white on this, it's flowing from bonnet up over the roof into the back of the car.
Yes.
So
yes,
it matches. I'm hesitant on the red war paint underneath the headlights. I like it and I don't like it.
Yeah.
In some angles, I really think it looks good, and then in others, I'm like, it looks a bit like of an add-on.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, all right. I think what happened was they probably had it all white with the red surrounds, and they needed to break it up a bit. I'm not sure that's the right result, but anyway,
I don't mind it. Again, like a lot of these things, once you see them on track, they can often change your viewpoint on it.
Yep.
But as a design, it's very clean, and I think it's a step up over the previous couple of years. I still don't think they've cleaned up the back enough.
Okay.
I'm trying to find the back shot again.
Yeah, I'm just going to scroll through. You've kind of got the little bit of the red lip underneath the white wing, and
I'm not a fan of the back bumper.
Yep.
Where they do those red accents.
Yep.
Following it, that doesn't really do a whole lot for me. So I don't feel like that's quite resolved in a livery sense. But overall, I kind of get a bit of Ferrari vibe to it with the yellow striping being incorporated into it.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it's a step in the right direction for sure, and I'm glad that they changed it.
Yeah, well, I think change is good. As I said with previously, I think this will look better on track where you've kind of got the white contrasting with Armco barriers and the black of the road. I think
Yeah.
it should look better. So I'm here. I think it's a good change. Still doesn't quite hit the sweet spot for me, but and this was the first time, although because it's a week or so ago that the DJR actually launched, but it was the first one that I noticed first off that we had the yellow mirrors for Brody and white mirrors for
Yes.
Will, and legal change of adjusting between the cars to make a differentiator.
Yep, I think that's a good play by the team. The only thing I have against that is that once they rub those off on the walls, it's still difficult to tell who. But you know what would fix that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, getting numbers on the bonnet and the side of the car again on the doors.
yeah.
Big numbers that we can read. That would fix that.
NASCAR, here we come. Hey,
I'm just old school. The number was always such a big part of the car.
Yeah.
And I know it's branding and everything else and better for sponsors, but sometimes beep sponsors because when people need to know who's running.
Yeah.
And a big number on a door tells you who it is.
Yeah, it gives you that. Yeah, it does. Yeah. All right. Well, last comment before we move on to the MSR is that apparently Sarah says the Seagulls have been busy on the DJR car. So maybe there's something against the white that's really it doesn't work, okay? All right.
As I said, the white works better here than it does on the RBR car. So I might be biased because it's Mustang, so shoot me. But
of course.
I don't know. When I very first looked at this car, it gave me the same feeling as when I saw Glenn Seaton's Ford credit car back in 1996. It looked clean. It looked really strong. And overall, I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, nice. Well, we've got Mr. Percat, his Bendix Camaro on there. And I think they've done much better, a little bit like how we first sort of started off with the WAU cars, is that just they made some adjustments to kind of blend it better and to make it sort of sit right on the car. And I think they've done a really good job on this one.
Yeah, look, I think it's a cleanup. Kind of like the Type Power car. It's a cleanup, right? Still, it was a good livery to begin with, but it's just a cleaner version of it.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Hiccup.
Oh, hiccup.
Yeah, so I think the Type Power car looks pretty good. Sorry, and the Bendix car also looks pretty good. Which is good. They got Slade Dog as well for the Enduros.
I know.
Is just being announced. So good looking car that's probably quick with those two at the helm.
Yeah. MSR have made some small adjustments as well internally, so they've been working hard. So fingers crossed they have a good year.
I am annoyed at one thing just before we switch off of that.
Before we go to Hills, yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's just to do with the team. Is that Mr. Stone said that he wouldn't really think about switching brand. And I really think, Ford, if you're listening, if you are smart, you will probably kick BRT to the side and say thank you, but no thank you, and accrue these guys. They are incredibly strong, and the fact that their background with his father and uncle was Ford, I just think it would be the best homecoming. It really would.
Yeah, and I guess it's probably a little bit of
sidetrack.
maybe not bitterness, but he was courting or he was trying to get Ford, and then that kind of got swooped, and they got trumped by WAU taking that place. Obviously, a bigger, stronger team that Ford wanted to basically bring on, and so I think a little bit of that might be in the background of well, mate, we'll just stick with what we've got. Let's keep going development wise. We know where we're at, but we've got a lot of things to sort of uncover whether or not the GM product keeps going, whether we've got people switching to Toyota, which frees up certain things. There's a lot that can unfold there. All right, yep. Mr. Hill, and his black and white.
Superglass.
Yeah, well, I was going to say Superglass, and it's like there's not really there's other sponsors, but it's just basically Superglass. It's all over the side and the front.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so big investment from them. Yeah, pretty simple, black and white with a few highlights. Good.
Yep.
Yeah,
Black,
nice.
white, clean, a little bit of red, break it up.
Yep.
Can't really go wrong with those colours typically. Or shades, I should say, in one colour. Yeah. Again, the white over the A pillar, at least it follows down and doesn't just stop. So I don't like how they treated it at the back personally. But overall looks pretty presentable to me, and I'm sure Superglass are loving the fact that they've got such a large plastering across the car.
Yeah, some good investment, I think. But
Yeah, definitely.
It's going all right. And then we come to the wild card, which I listened to their launch, the whole thing, and they're speaking to Crick as well, and it was just really interesting hearing them say they wanted him to wait so they had time, and he was like, "Hey, I know Sydney so well. I can put in a strong performance, get me a car. Let's do a wild card for Sydney, the first round." And having that, obviously, they've got some sponsors to help support that. He obviously drove the team to make it happen. So, yeah, kudos to him. And, maybe Crick can kind of at least show his best performance on a track that he's really, really comfortable with.
Familiar. I can't say
Familiarity.
Yes. Knowing the track.
He's given up.
Knowing the track will be a good thing for him, for sure. And I think, well done to Dormer HVAC Services jumping on board that car. It looks pretty, I mean, I know they've got quite a few sponsors anyway, but it's pretty sponsored up. With I can see the Pizza Hut sign in there, and Hino are on board, so got a bit of backing to do 3 rounds really. So Sydney and then the Bend 500 he'll be part of. And also Bathurst. So 3 cars at the big events for them is a good hit out, I reckon.
Yeah, it's good that I think the colouring is really simple. They just put a few highlights that kind of match up with the Dormer colours, and it's a black car. Yeah, it's a nice livery, and I think they've done it well to be at the season opener. And obviously Bathurst, you've got to be there. That's the one to go. But we'll see how that kind of pans out. But good to have another wild card, because I think they've shown a lot of success. The wild card, with Super Cheap and things like those cars have been pretty strong, over the past few years. So wild cards seem to be working nicely.
They do. So we'll look forward to seeing how Cricky goes. Yes.
Well, I think that kind of brings it to the end of the liveries that are launched at the moment. And, in terms of what's coming next, we've got Blanchard dropping tomorrow, Tickford and another Brad Jones on Valentine's Day, and then Penrite and Premiere is the last one. So another Brad Jones, and Premiere on the 17th of February being the last one. So that's still a few to go, and looking forward to see how it goes. Yeah. What was that?
Exactly. I mean, we also have F1 to come, really. That'll be kicking off, I think, next week as well. So we'll have a few more things to discuss, I think.
I think so.
Next week.
I think so. Well, it's good. We'll get all the busy stuff for Supercars out of the way this week, I think, because looking at our schedule, it was like, it's going to be a full one, but let's see how we go. All right. Speaking of that, let's move on to some of the news. And, I guess this one's an interesting one, because I sort of felt like there was just like constant kick in the teeth. So the DJR people, they go to America for Dick's Great Award, right? Being honoured by Ford. And then at that event, they hear the news about Red Bull Racing, and then they come
Yep.
home, and Dr. Ryan Story's in bloody hospital, like because he's obviously got some health issues, so he's obviously susceptible to things, and yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's a bit of a few hits there that he's had to go through, and apparently still in hospital and will miss round one.
Yeah, so obviously, shout out Dr. Ryan Story. Hope you feel better soon. Sounds like you picked up a virus while he was over there, and it turned into pneumonia.
Yep.
Which sucks. I've never had to deal with that myself, but knowing people who have, and it isn't pleasant. So yeah, wishing him a speedy recovery.
Absolutely.
But yeah, kicking the teeth, I think is right, mate. Going over there and then finding out that Triple Eight wants to take your crown, especially after all the work and the investment that DJR have put in to getting the engine up and running last year and in a competitive spot.
Yep.
Whether it's right or not is still up for grabs. But yeah, I mean, I think I said last week that I didn't like it. I didn't like the fact that Triple Eight wanted to bring KRE across and things of that nature. And KRE is saying, oh, we still want to do the Chev engines as well.
Yep.
Just a bit of a monopoly. And I don't like that so much. I'd rather, DJR keep the engine side of it. If Triple Eight want to do the homologation in terms of, I don't know, the other side of it, the aero and everything else, then okay. But yeah, I just feel like the investment that's been brought in by DJR to get that engine shop running should be allowed to run for at least another year, perhaps, or two, before they shut up shop, because it's a bit of a kick.
It is indeed. All right, let's move on to a few other things now. Do we want to tackle the rule changes, or do you want to talk Bathurst 12-hour?
No, go on to the rule changes because it's still V8s.
Still V8s. We'll stick on that because looking at the order, and yes, there are a few people here. We'll cover off some of those chats a bit later on. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
So I thought we just there was a good article that Supercars did put out, which kind of covers all of the rule changes, and looking at that, it kind of felt like there was just a lot happening, and some of them are a bit more important or a bit bigger, in my opinion, than others. But when we kind of look at it, I'm going to run through these. I'm not going to pick all of them, but I'll try and do as many as possible. But we'll talk about at the end, like some of the ones we think are the most important. But let's kick off with the race weekend formats. So we've obviously got some new formats, new qualifying things. So they're going to roll those out, and then we've got obviously then overlaying the sprint rounds then versus the enduros. So we've got a big shake up in all of that, and tying into that is the championship point system. And so those points are weighted to the length of the race. So for instance, race 1 is worth less points than race 2 and 3 at Sydney. So that's going to be something that we're just going to have to keep an eye on to try and, I mean, they'll always have the championship points, but something to sort of keep an eye on, because the first year in, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people screaming about why that was a better race. Why didn't they get more points? Or something will happen online, I'm sure. So,
I'm sorry. I know you don't really want me to kick off here.
Oh yeah.
But
I do really. But go.
For freak's sake, why are we complicating shit still? Why overcomplicate a situation? Just have the same points for the same, Supercars, if they could be given an award, it's for pure overcomplication of everything that doesn't need to be overcomplicated. The method is keep it simple, stupid. Use the KISS method.
Yeah.
Stop being stupid.
Yeah, but I mean, on the other side of the fence, though, there is that, okay, they've kept it so simple for so long that you need to mix it up. So, I don't know. I think, as we've said about the actual end result, the championship end, good. They're trying stuff. Let's see how it goes. But yeah, I'm sure it's going to be confusing to keep track of. Understand why some people on a race weekend got more or less.
If you, at the end of the day, if you want people to follow, they need to be able to follow it without.
I think that's a crucial
being
part of it.
Simply and easily.
Yep.
That's all it boils down to. So things like points and that they really need to be simplified. You can complicate everything else if you really must, but points are just keep it simple.
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
all I'm going to say.
So this one, it's a good segue. The team's championship is awarded in accordance. So points aren't deleted during the finals, and bonus points don't apply to teams' end totals. I've read that out. I don't understand really what does that mean in the real world. It just basically means I think that all these things don't apply to the team's championship, and they've got another separate process for them.
Yeah, right. So basically, the constructors' title is dictated by points scored.
Yep.
Throughout the year.
Yep. And where we get rid of the rest of the field in the finals, they keep going with points.
They keep going.
Yeah.
How much fun is that going to be to try and explain to someone?
Well, with any luck, we won't get any errors on the overlays that come from Supercars during round weekends, so it should be clear as mud, right?
Damo, I was looking forward to this season. You're ruining it.
All right, let's move to stuff that might be a bit better, right? So, tyres. Minimum tyre pressure has dropped 1 PSI. I think it will help a little bit. There are a few other things that... Actually, I don't know... I'm just going to quickly go ahead because it might be out of order. But they have got a new soft tyre. Have they got it in here?
Yes. No, it's a new tyre compound all round, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I think it's just the soft tyre that's there. I don't know if it's actually in this document. So there is... So apparently from reports when they were doing the testing is that it's actually quite durable and it's sticky enough that it's going to produce faster speed. So...
I don't care. All I want to know is it not going to overheat when they go battling. That's all I care about.
Well, I think that's what the 1 PSI might help with, right? It means
from
the windows
17 to 16.
The window's longer, right? So, yeah.
I mean, I know it makes a difference, but
yeah,
right. Honestly, as long as the compound's right in the sense that it doesn't overheat when they're battling, then we're all good to go.
Yeah. Yes. Well, and on that, still again, you can't put your tires out in the sun, so they've got to stay within the rules, which is in the shade or in the team garage, so they can't be preheated and then bled. So that's a rule as well.
How can they police that? Have they got someone standing at every single team at every single moment?
Oh, they actually kind of do. So they can ping. I think it's on exit. They can ping the tire pressures to an overarching system. I believe that's what was working previously, and that's the same again. That's how they always know someone's too high or too low on pressures. So I think that's still the scrutineering or the management of that for compliance. All right. Okay. There's some test days, which is just always sad. Test days have been reduced to 2. There's never enough testing. We've got Sydney Motorsport on February 19th, which is obviously coming up a couple of weekends, and then Queensland Raceway in August. So disappointing, but I guess that's part of trying to control those costs, and that's the easiest way to stop teams spending money, isn't it?
Apparently.
Fuel. So we've got a few things. We'll start with
fuel or fuel.
Not few. Damo's, putting me to sleep. It's almost over. It's fuel.
Fuel, right?
So we've got refueling churns. So they won't at the sprint rounds. They won't have the big rigs and the big plug-in. They'll have those old school carry plug-ins.
Hold it up. Yeah.
So
I will say that'll look cool.
It will look cool. I think it is a bit of that rose-coloured glasses that it makes you relive the old times where crazy people would just stand there waiting for something to go wrong to get burnt. But I guess all the technology, it's very safe now, but
Ooh.
that's going to be an interesting one because you it's a different process. So all the teams would have to be practicing with their fuel stop of how to get the car in, how to get that churn in, because you don't have the hands and your body weight to kind of push in. You kind of have to you're gonna have to lean it in and plug it in. But we'll wait and see what they actually what that looks like and how they go in their practice. But it's basically trying to open up. So the regulation around the fuel teams need to drop in 2 pit stops, and they can basically have as much or as little as they want throughout that. It's 2 pit stops, so there's no minimum fuel drop. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm glad there's no minimum fuel drop. I hate minimum fuel drops. Have since they got put in back in the day, but
I read that wrong. Is there minimum? Hang on. Oh, I did. I thought there was.
Did you
none.
get it wrong?
I always do, mate. There's also regulation around how much fuel teams need to drop but it doesn't say what it is. It says allowing teams to choose the start volume and how much they put in at each stop to finish the race. Okay. I missed that.
So there must be a minimum.
There must be, but they haven't written it.
Okay.
That second
Well
line.
done.
The second line says the teams are allowed to choose, and then there's still a fuel drop. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
so still have to get fuel drop. Oh,
yeah.
Well, I mean, I just yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I don't know.
I don't know. He's given up.
I'm gonna lose my shit in a second, so keep moving forward.
Yep. In terms of this, I'm going to jump a couple of lines in the terms of the document. So the fuel tank capacity has been reduced. So I think that is going to be a good way because it totally breaks up, and that's at Tailem Bend and Bathurst. So obviously the 2 Enduros, and it will reduce those stent lengths. So if we look at Bathurst, it's normally around, I think it was 27 laps is roughly that number they get to a tank. And that's going to significantly reduce and put them into the, depending on economy, but, somewhere in that low 20s, maybe maximum, to 25 if they're really good.
Yep. Look, I think that's a good move because I think there was I don't know. The difference between that Camaro and the Mustang was rumored to be the fact that the extra fuel that they had on board.
Okay.
So I wonder if this is their way of trying to bring that back a little bit. But even having said that, 135 down to 118 litres is a good reduction.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's not 75 like they used to do in the old cars where we'd have 8 stops. I thought that was a little bit overkill, but 135 litres was probably the overkill the other way. So hopefully this is somewhere in between that gets us a reasonable stint length, as well as some strategy, because we all know that strategy is out the door to begin with when everyone who drives normally has to start the race.
Yep, main drivers must start, hey, which they kept carrying on, which is good job. So that's probably it from a little bit of the fuel. The minimum driving time in Enduros has been increased from 1/3 to 37%. So basically take it from 33% to 37%, meaning that drivers must complete a minimum of 60 laps at Bathurst and 38 at Tailem Bend.
So 6 laps extra at Bathurst.
Yeah.
So it was 54 last year.
So that will, I guess, at least for the first year, will help with that strategy with the fuel and the driver. There will be a bit of a mix-up in people trying things for strategy, and then once they figure it out, everyone's going to do the same.
Why 37%? Why not 40%?
I don't know.
It's just a weird 37%. Okay.
I wonder what Scaife thinks, eh?
Who cares? He's already crying at the moment in the corner because his beloved brand is dying.
Hey, he's in conflict between the two.
He is.
All right, now let's. I'm going to save one to the end. I'm going to run through some of these others where we've got a whole bunch of overlap. The minimum weight for the Enduros is averaged across the co-drivers rather than just the primary driver. So some of the advantages of like a Brody and his teammate, where Brody's a little heavier, they get an advantage with the co-driver in. Probably going to disappear. So it'll be. I think that's good across the board for a more even. But yeah, let's see how that pans out. And then if teams have more than one car running the same livery, it must be different. Highest placed rookie will be the rookie of the year, which seems pretty logical to me. I didn't know that needed to be a change or was a change. So a Supercars driver can undertake 10 laps at a teammate's rookie's test day. So all the rookies, which is not too many that we've got this year, but their teammates can do 10 laps. The maximum number of rookie test days have been reduced from 3 to 2, which is, and 1 day for the second year. However, the tyre allocation has been increased for the practice days. So it's a greater benefit to the rookies. Apparently, the teams asked for that one. Rear view mirror must be used at all rounds. Both rear view mirrors. So, sometimes they cut one for the street circuits because they'd lose them. Yep. The 105% qualifying cutoff rule, it was formerly 107%. So they've tightened that up a little bit. I'm not sure as to the reasoning behind that one.
That one's a bit weird to me.
Yeah.
Just really quickly, because they're so close in qualifying anyway. Yeah. Is it really necessary to make that change? I don't think so. They could have just left it at the 107 and be done with it. Anyway, moving on.
And then there's like a Super 2 tyre allocation. But let's go back to probably the one that... how do we say this? That probably caught my eye, and certainly with some of the stuff that's happened in the past, with SVG being probably the king of this, overlapping on safety car restarts is permitted. And it says as last was the case in 2023. So they killed it in 2024, and it didn't happen. Now they've got it. And I'll jump to you in a second, because always my thing is that there is a maximum speed they're meant to have. So if you are behind the car, how do you overlap without breaking that maximum speed? So that's always the question I had with Shane when he used to do it. He used to accelerate hard, cut up the inside. And I'm like, well, clearly he's breaking that 80-kilometre limit that's meant to be in place. Because if you're going 80 Ks behind, you can't go 80 Ks and end up side by side. So that was always my thing in the past. I think maybe it'll settle down later in the year, but I think this is going to cause a bit of chaos, because Sydney Motorsport Park is probably the worst for it in the way they come onto the front straight and being such a long straight. I wonder how long this is going to last if there's a big accident that happens on the first restart where everyone just starts trying to jump out and cut in front of the people in front. So, yeah. Because if you're overlapping and then the next car's overlapping, then you've got, like, how many wide are you going to be able to get? And what an overlap on the inside versus the outside, then how do they adjudicate who's overlapped the wrong person? I think this is... I think it's a dumb move. Stupid move. I can't be any clearer. I think it's just so dumb.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Your turn.
Yeah, look, I agree. I don't think it's the smartest move. I think overlapping is always cause for concern, especially when we've watched in the past. It's really hard. I sort of get why they're allowing it to try and spice it up.
They're doing
so
entertainment.
That it doesn't become a procession.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're just opening a door and somebody will step into it and inevitably someone will crash, and then there'll be this whole thing about whether it's right or wrong, and then it'll get taken away again, and then 2 years later it'll come back. Like it's a bit of a nothing rule that if everyone plays right, then it's fine. But red mist.
Yeah. Clearly that'll work. I mean, normally after they figure out the rules and what they can and can't get away with, like it does settle down. But yeah, Jesus.
It's particularly bad at places like Townsville, Adelaide, getting the overlap on at Sydney. Well, it's less problematic towards turn 1 at Sydney, typically.
Well, if people back out, if they don't,
yeah,
it's very problematic there.
But in the last few years, they've been pretty good.
Yeah.
But I think, the street circuits particularly, if an overlap is allowed, then it can be cut, especially Adelaide through the kinks and I don't know, and the turn 1 at Townsville, we've seen a few doozies there over the years, and then down into 3-4 as a result. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but
All right.
Without going too hard.
All right. Well, that obviously I'll take the cake on that one. I'm definitely willing to go hard because, I don't like it at all. But it will be entertaining. It will create chaos at some point, I'm sure. So.
Does anyone online have any feelings on it, which way or the other?
Oh, let's go back. So we've got a few different things. Let's start with strong rumor has it GM is bringing the caddy to Supercars, as in NASCAR next year. Okay, interesting.
Cadillac.
Yeah, okay. I mean,
Cadillac
are investing in motorsport, so it's not an unrealistic rumor. But yeah, wait to see how that one's going.
Do caddies still do a 2-door car?
Oh, God. Get your Googling fingers on, mate. I don't know. I don't know much about those.
I don't know if Cadillac do. I think all their stuff is sedan.
Sedan stuff? No. You have a look at that. I'll keep going through the chats.
I'll do a little bit of look.
Yeah, okay. All right. There's actually people here today. Hello, everyone. Yeah, that's good. How was your Jan and Feb? Look, it's been good for us, as we said, apart from Steve's go-karting accident. He was away in New Zealand, so that was nice for him.
I'd show you my bruise, but you don't want to see that.
They'll cancel us on YouTube, mate.
That's it.
I sort of feel like being an old man, that I can't believe it's February already. So it's been a very busy start to the year, but it's been good for us. Thanks. Hope you're all having a good one in 2025. What about the fuel regulators for incoming fuel? I think there is a slight change, I think they're carrying on the same flow, which was an adjustment last year. So I don't know if there's any more to that story. We can sort of have a look at that and talk about it next week if we need to. Is it staying at 2 or 3? 2 or 3. I'm not sure what you asked there. You probably asked it at the right time, and then we kept going. Maybe 2 or 3 stops, 2 or 3.
I think
regulators.
Likely. Yeah.
Why would other teams want Jamie Whincup to get one more? Okay, all right. More
it sounds like
time.
He's going in.
Coey time. Yeah. What? He likes Triple Eight. But I don't know why they want that. But Jamie still seems to be able to fight it out on those co-drives, so he's still doing all right. Last one, Sarah. Supercars are killing the series next year. It'll be the Mustang Cup. Oh, okay. All right.
That's a bit of a conspiracy. I don't think it'll be the Mustang Cup.
It probably feels that. I mean, Ford have said they're going to stop. That they've got their 5 and that's it. So we're really taking one out because one's going to Toyota. I don't think anyone else is going to change at this rate, but it will just be probably 1 year maybe of the Camaro until they can figure out what replacement might look like. And we'll touch on that. We're going to talk about what we think about GM and their stance.
Look, I just had to look up Cadillac there, and they do not have a two-door.
Okay.
It's all sedan, so 4 doors. So I'm not sure what they could use, really. I mean, they can bring in a 4-door. I don't think there's any regulation against it. But it'll be a different looking car, that's for sure.
Yeah, it would be. And I guess, if they're doing like proper NASCAR, it's probably easier because they just use the control body, and they put their stuff on top. But a bit different for us, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, let's think about this one. Well, do you want to quickly do the Bathurst 12-hour, and then we'll close out with the General Motors dead in Supercars topic?
Yeah, all right. So we'll bash on onto the 12-hour really quickly. So obviously it was a really good race. I don't know if you all stayed up and watched or got up and watched it. I was obviously a little bit ahead, being in NZ, so I could watch the actual start, which was quite cool to watch Mostert like he usually does, just absolutely towel them.
Yeah.
The race itself was, it wasn't. It was a good battle all the way through, which was really good. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it was dictated by when a safety car dropped and where cars were on track, and just worked in well with Team WRT, which is the BMW team with the Vanderlyn brothers and Augusto Farfus, who eventually would take out the win.
Nice.
Sorry if I pronounced that wrong or right. I'm not sure.
How many times did you practice that? How many times?
A few times. And then they had a 1-2 as a team. So Valentino Rossi, Charles Wirtz. I don't know.
Wirtz.
Sorry, mate.
Wirtz.
It's Weerts, so somebody can correct me. Wirtz. And Rafael Mecialo. Sorry, I butchered that. Mecialo. Taking out second. And having a really good race. Like both those cars were really strong all day.
They were
and
solid.
then the 75 Express entry, Mercedes GT3 took the last podium with Kenny Habul, who was caught up in a brutal incident for Stephen Grove, which we'll touch on just after this. And the unfortunate part is that the Ferrari of Mostert, Brown and Serra finished fourth because they were out of sync with the fueling due to that that yellow flag and where they were on track. So would have been good to see them really battle for it, because he did actually grab the lead towards the end, but he didn't have any fuel, so he just went hell for leather and hoped that the safety car would come out. Yes, it was one of those races.
Nice recap. I didn't see a lot of it. I saw enough of it. I didn't get up early, but I certainly did watch.
Did you see Grove's incident?
Well, yes, I think that's probably the main thing that we need to talk about. I'll bring up. I just thought probably a good idea to kind of bring up the news article. We can have a look at the photos while we're talking about it. But
yes,
look, Kenny seems like a really good guy. He was very open, apologetic, and obviously wasn't intentional. But oh my God, was that just a bad case of the wrong place, wrong time?
Yeah, literally. I mean, from reports, and I don't know, I haven't heard Stephen's side of it yet.
Yeah.
But from one of the team, or someone inside that team, stated at one point that Steve was trying to get out of the way, so he actually broke a little bit early, and
that's what caused it
to allow him go through. Unfortunately, it's a narrow piece of road, and it's a fast bit of road, and it takes the slightest of touches, which this was. If you haven't already, go and do yourself a favor and check out the onboard. It's just the smallest of touches that sent Steve into the fence, and it was a mighty hit. I thought he was going over. It was just a huge hit. Wrong angles, everything. Whoever was in the Portaloo, guaranteed they cleared out absolutely everything.
Yeah. I think it was appropriate. It was right in view of that. I might not play the video just because I know supercars they can be a bit heavy with copyright and stuff. So, but it is on. I've got if you you can go there, and it's called Shock to Bulls Remorse over Grove Crash, and it was just one of those things that it really requires that piece of track. Or that moment over Skyline, you need both drivers to be 100% knowing what the other one's going to do, and not to I don't think there was any blame on either. It was really bad circumstances, but it wasn't quite the right let through, and it wasn't quite the right overtake, in my opinion, and that's why it caused it. And just that moment where he's right up, and you just think, oh my God, he's over. Like, this is and then somehow it just kind of just stays on the right side and drops back down, and such a huge hit. You know, I was trying to think of, there's been big ones, but I reckon that's been the biggest for quite a few years. And, you know, it was, you know, glad that he's okay or was recovering okay. And you know, obviously speedy recovery. But, jeepers, that was a big one. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely speedy recovery, Steve. We hope you're all right. Definitely took the wind out of you. I could hear it on the audio. But,
God, that's hard to listen to, isn't it?
Oh, it is. He sounded like me in the go-karts. But yeah, that was a huge hit. The only thing I would say is that, you know, Steve could possibly have realized maybe that it wasn't going to be quite right and gone straight instead of trying to turn in.
Yeah.
And that would have prevented the hit. But it's you make the decision.
Yeah.
And you think, you know, you're basically trying to predict what's going to happen, and what you think will happen. And then if it does go slightly wrong, these can be the results. And as you stated, Kenny is not a bad guy, and he was devastated to hear that was the result of that contact. So it's just an unfortunate incident in a really high speed part of the track that's hard to pass. Like, even if people are playing ball, it's still a difficult place to pass.
Yeah, you've got to commit to a reasonably late break, and the other person needs to be, you know, well clear and braking early to give that space. So bit of a tough one. All right, before we get to the last one, I'll do a quick I missed prediction from Martinator saying that prediction Erebus fighting for the bottom 3 next year, which that'd be a tough turnaround, wouldn't it?
It would.
It would. And
I
then
think Murray's going to be any good, Martin.
And then he's got his one. Who will get the Chevy homologation? Because that's probably a good question, because he did mention the Groves also go to Toyota, but there was rumor that perhaps the Groves are a potential to switch and become the homologation, but yeah, I don't know. Still, there hasn't been any strong rumors or whispers other than that was the last one.
I can't say that myself personally. But,
and 888 customers, that's probably the biggest question, because Ford's not saying that they want any more people driving the cars, and so that leaves particularly like Premier, who is a true customer car. You've obviously got Team 18 at some parts of it, but Premier is probably the big one where they really just copy and paste. They get the car and then engineer it themselves from there. So Martin, I was at the Bathurst 12-hour opposite pit lane with his best mate. Got a lot of pictures. Yeah,
very cool.
Who will he be? The doctor and going on. Nice. Yeah, what a draw card. Like Valentino Rossi, he just still has it. Like, I don't even know. I think he late 40s or 50s now? Yeah, he's
got to be close to 50s.
Yeah, and still just like a draw card, and such a great personality to have as part of that program. It was so good.
And I think that's the thing, isn't it? Right? Like, he is just a nice guy.
Yeah.
And he has time for almost all the fans.
Yeah.
So yeah, massive draw card, and you know, it's good that he's sort of committing to the next few years as well, coming down under. So
yeah,
we need that race to build up a bit more again. I haven't been since 2017, but you know, like the 2019 race was an absolute barnstormer with so many cars and so forth. So if we needed to get back to that, it wasn't a bad race this year by any means, but just need a few more cars to turn up.
Yes. All right, let's close out and let's touch on the very last thing, because this one you sort of put in there, and you know you've put your I was going to say your balls on the line, and you said you got in the run sheet. General Motors dead in supercars. Now, I guess I kind of touched on it. Like that is a question of what happens now, because the Camaro isn't a production car anymore. So we knew they were going to keep going for a little while with that chassis shape. But yeah, all right, kick it off, Steve.
All right. Well, are General Motors dead in supercars? In my belief, yes. I don't see them rolling past 2026.
Yep.
So they might be there next year, but I don't think they'll be ongoing beyond that. I just haven't seen anything to indicate that they're interested to stay on.
Yep.
If this Triple Eight thing, they wouldn't have been blindsided by that. I don't
No.
believe their public statement. They would have known that they were looking into moving on. So
Yep.
they should have already been talking to other teams to be appointed, and they haven't appointed anyone yet. And the longer it stays quiet, the more I reckon it shows that they're no longer particularly interested in our circus. Now, that doesn't mean that we won't have Chevs here. The
Yep.
supercars could quite easily run the IP and take control of it, so to speak, I guess. And then, but the question then becomes, all right, so who's staying on top of this? Who's homologating it? And realistically, the answer would have to be Erebus at this stage. I don't think any other team is equipped. I don't think Erebus is particularly equipped to do so.
Yeah.
But they're the strongest of the current lineup and the current crop that are in that fold. So I struggle to see it being anything but a Toyota, Mustang, and whoever else can be negotiated to come on board at a later stage. But yeah, I generally think this could be the end of the Holden, Chev, GM in our series, which is sad.
Yeah.
Because the whole series is built. And I don't say this because I want them out. I don't. They've been around since the get-go, and that's what this is all based upon. So it is just a sad thing. But I'm failing to see a path forward for them, and they're not giving me any confidence that there is.
Yeah. I think that was probably the biggest thing is that when this kind of dropped, okay, so who takes the lead? What is that next pathway? And I did hint at the fact, and I totally agree, that they must know that is a limited time chassis. They must be, Triple Eight aren't dumb. They're always going to be planning ahead of the game. And maybe it was just an uncertainty as opposed to they're definitely gone. But with Triple Eight moving, it definitely helps that cause of, okay, well, why, we're happy to let you use our shapes and our chassis names and all that stuff if we're the dominant team that's got a very strong chance of winning. But when you drop that down, okay, well, why do we want to be in supercars when we're not really in supercars? And I think that's probably the biggest question at the moment. And it would be pretty sad to think that we'd go from maybe 1 year potentially of 3 manufacturers, and then again we're going to drop back down to 2, even if it's Toyota and Ford. And I think that would be, a lot of people talk about the death of supercars, and I don't think it would kill it, but it would certainly have a big impact because there are a lot of GM supporters that are not willing to really budge. Like, they're not even going to go with Triple Eight, right? So now when Triple Eight left Ford, we didn't go with them, right? That was just it wasn't our thing, and it was a tough change, from the Ford camp because we just started enjoying their success. Had those Bathurst wins, and it was just amazing. And then, when Ford, in my opinion, made the wrong decision, it just sort of nailed in the coffin. They did that move. See you later. And I think the same thing is happening here, in my opinion.
Yeah, I tend to agree. It's as I said, it's not a good thing. It never is, but it just doesn't seem like they're overly interested now.
Yeah.
Just base. I mean, they could shock us, right? We could get to round 1 at Sydney, and they'll announce a new homologation team, and we can have a discussion about what it looks like moving forward and what cars. And I do hope that that's the case, but just the arrows at the moment seem to be pointing to an exit rather than a build. I guess is what I'm getting at. But it's going to be interesting with Toyota coming on board. Will that coax other people, other manufacturers to join up?
Yeah.
Can we get anyone else to sort of? I mean, who runs in NASCAR now? It's Ford, Chev, and Toyota.
Yep.
I don't think Dodge run in there anymore.
Yep.
So it's hard, unless you can get a BMW or something along those lines where
Yeah.
they might come in, but it's
Well,
a hard sell.
it's a hard sell for a local market that's reasonably small compared to the rest of the world. It was interesting as part of the Toyota change. Excuse me, Brian Walkinshaw had that comment, and he hadn't asked me anything on his Instagram, and someone said, who was the team that you almost got across the line? Was it BMW? And he said, no, it was never BMW. It was Jag. So he almost had pre-COVID Jag signed, ready to go. Now, I mean, if that had happened, so COVID, whatever didn't happen, and you get Jag in, now we would still be probably looking for a replacement because Jag have decided to change their strategy as well. I think that new image is definitely not going to be in line with racing. So, we would have had, again, like Nissan and kind of AMG, Merc, people coming in, coming out. It just seems like the stalwarts were always that Holden GM product and the Ford product. And it would be a big change to the category if there wasn't one of their products online. But, yeah,
I agree. It's just, it's one of those things. And you really have to get a BMW or no longer Jag, because Jag's not going to do it. The only hope we have really is the fact that Porsche announcing that, or have announced that they're still going to be building combustion and hybrid cars. So we hope that some of the other manufacturers go down that path as well. Which
if you can't sell them, Stephen, if you can't sell them, they're not going to build them. And the only reason they started building them that way, and I see a big benefit in, I know, like we've had history of talking about electric versus petrol. I do see the benefit in a city environment for running electric cars. But the government mandates drove the change in the industry, and it seems to be the way that there's a mismatch between some governments and the people, and people aren't buying them. So,
let's not start electric versus petrol.
No.
Debate, because we'll be here all night. But the point being is that we're starting to see a few manufacturers go back on that. So that means that the door is still open for the likes of like a BMW or a Merc or one of those to come in here and actually go racing. Now, personally, I'd like to see BMW on the grid. But
Me too.
At the same, well, you would, because you drive one.
With a nicer grill, I will say. But
I think there's going to be some thought going in the next few years on how this all plays out, because it might be Mustang v Toyota for a little bit.
So we'll see how that pans out. That's definitely a bit of a challenging one. I think that we watch this space and wait for those little rumors and things popping up over the course of the year to see what happens. I'm sure there'll be scuttlebutt.
Right, before we sign off, mate, just check in with the guys, make sure they don't have any other questions that they might have lingering.
That's very good. That's about what I was about to say. So,
very good.
So I've said goodbye. Said thanks to Martinator. He had to leave to go to work. He said, got to go to work. Love the pod. Cheers. So thank you for joining again.
Cheers, mate.
He did write in that we're talking about the big crash, and he said the Mostert one was probably the last big one, and I'd say that was probably about right, I reckon, because that was an absolute shocker, that one.
Almost cried.
Yes. And then we've got, so Sarah has said Honda is rumoured to be joining NASCAR next year. That came from a NASCAR article that she saw last week.
Interesting.
Another thing that's been talked about in NASCAR across all manufacturers is possible hybrids. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they when they did Gen 3, there was a thing that they set aside so
Clause?
that the
Yep.
cars could be hybridized
Yep.
if needed. So they are designed that way. So you never know. We might end up heading that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Honda thing's interesting.
Yeah.
Again, they don't particularly, although they got the Prelude over there, don't they?
They
So
do. They
I don't
do.
think we're getting it in Oz, but maybe they'll bring it across. Either way, the Integra is no longer a two-door car; it's a four-door car.
Yeah. And
So
bloody Honda are a strange one. You know,
they are.
they're the hokey pokey. They keep dipping their toes in and out all the time. Like legitimately,
Across all
like
motorsport.
they were on a good thing in F1, and they said,
Yep.
"No, we're going to change our decision." They pull out. Red Bull replaced them, and they're like, "Oh, actually, too late. Oh crap!" Now they're with Aston Martin, so they're back in there. So I mean, if they're going to do NASCAR as well, that is a good potential. You know, local market again. We're a bit limited in what we have.
Yeah, we are, unfortunately, and that makes things very difficult. But
Yeah.
look, we'll hold our hold out hope. I'm having brain problems.
It's too hot. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's coming through on the mic, but I had to put my aircon on because I was about to break into sweat. So
I'm glad you've
bloody
got
hot.
aircon. I've literally just a fan, and it's upstairs, and I can tell you right now it's about 38 degrees up here at the very least. So
yes,
that's why I'm flushed and cooking and moving about. But yeah, it'll be interesting.
It will.
Be interesting.
It will. Now my camera is about to die as well, so good timing.
Well, we better call it, mate.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. We had some great views on here, great chats. Thank you so much for joining us. And we've got our socials. Keep tabs on it. We should be back.
Facebook, Instagram. Talk to me. Come on. I'm putting stuff up. Talk.
He is. He loves a good chat on there too. He's the king of it. So join us on there. Otherwise, like, subscribe on the YouTubes. And thanks so much for joining us. And we'll see you next week.
See you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.